respected respected Patra sir and all the members of Fertiliser Association of India and all the participants here. I would like to thank you all.
डॉक्टर साहब just a minute. हमारा बॉस भी है डॉक्टर DS यादव जी. He is also
Yes.
मतलब soil scientist man from Haryana Agriculture University. Worked in the industry and now in FAI also. DS Yadav ji. Okay.
Yes. Namaskar, respected Yadav sir. And all the participants, thank you for giving me an opportunity to interact with all of you. I'm presenting a brief presentation. Is it visible? My screen is visible?
Yeah, it's visible.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Participant, is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
As visible.
Thank you.
Okay.
So we will talk about nano fertilizer for sustainable and precision agriculture, taking an example of nano urea. So since we all are some sort of having background in agriculture and agri inputs, particularly fertilizer, so I will not go for very basic things, but we'll start with the major challenge that we all are trying to solve, the problem of fertilizer use efficiency. Particularly when we talk about nitrogen and phosphorus, the fertilizer use efficiency question comes more frequently in the literature, in the news as well, because it causes pollution to our soil, air and water, whether it is eutrophication or greenhouse gas emissions or nitrate pollution in the water or nitrous oxide emission in the air. And we all are trying our best to whether it is an industry or as a researcher or as an academician, or as a farmer, we all are trying our best to adopt the management practices, agriculture best management practices, or putting in inputs which basically increase the nitrogen use efficiency or better nitrogen fixation using biofertilizer or biological organisms, or providing better practices and so on. But still we all know that the use efficiency of N and P is around 30 to 40%, or in some best cases it's 50%. And when this fertilizer is not being utilized, the unused fertilizer is reaching to our water or to the environment, and it impacts the non-target sources. It affects the aquatic lives, because we know that the food is very diverse. We also are depends on the water to have the fishes, to have the water-based food materials which we grow. And when it accumulate like eutrophication or other organisms which is not intended, then it basically affect the aquatic life form as well, and hence our human health ultimately. So there are various efforts across the world is ongoing, both at the regulatory level and at the research level, in the laboratory, I would say, laboratories. So if we talk about the regulation and policy level, including India and other countries, where we are talking about like 4R nutrient stewardship program, which basically is putting the things at right dose, right concentration, right time and right place. And then there are some regulations coming up, or discussions are ongoing, like when to apply the urea, or particularly urea, because I'm talking about here specifically taking an example of nano urea. And then the question comes that who will be like paying for the cost, or whether the pollution is causing, or whether the new technologies to adopt and all that things. So all kind of discussions are ongoing at the regulation and policy level. But at the research level, at the product development level or new product discovery level, there are several things are ongoing. Like for example, coating of fertilizers. Uh, it started long back for the slow release, for reduce the volatilization. As we know that in India we are having now the 100% urea used for agricultural application is coming with the neem coating. And neem coating having other applications, but there is one major application from science perspective, that it put the hydrophobic core on the surface because of its hydrophobicity, and that's why like it reduce the rate of hydrolysis, or increase the use efficiency or reduce the volatilization in particular. Then the development comes in the form of mixing multi-nutrients, like mixing of macronutrients and micronutrients together, mixing several micronutrients, several macronutrients together, like for example zincated urea, one of the example, then NPK. Then now we are having elements mixing which basically are not defined as a nutrients but is still being added in that, and then enabling them to dissolve, like liquid fertilization, water soluble fertilizers, or dissolving the nutrients and then spraying or giving through the soil fertigation techniques. And then development happens related to co-fertigations. uh, Co-fertigations means like giving inorganic fertilizer with organic fertilizers, inorganic fertilizers with biological organisms like nitrogen fixation bacteria, or the nutrient mobilizing microorganisms, whether it is fungi or bacteria, and some biostimulants or organic material, organic biostimulants extracted from the plants or algae, etc. And then the recent developments are coming related to reduction of size to the nanoscale. uh, you would be this is a little bit, I would like to go back to the third point where I talk about enabling them to dissolve. So when we dissolve, let's say like when we dissolve the urea or when we dissolve the zinc sulfate or any other materials, then salt of any nutrient, then it certainly goes to the size down the ionic stage, which is like even then angstrom scale. But why the nano scale is so important, we will talk about that, because at the nano scale the material exhibit the quantum effect, which is like very significantly different than what the impact we are getting at the ionic at the ionic stage, or what we get at the submicron or micron scale, or even the scale particles. So nanotechnology is not new now to agriculture. It is being utilized for various applications. Besides nanofertilizer, uh, nanotechnology in agriculture being used for monitoring the plant health or the plant's requirement or the stress level of the plant, whether it is abiotic stress or biotic stress, using nanosensors. Then there are various research and translation happening related to nanopesticides to control the plant disease or keeping the pathogens away from the plant. And then it is also being tested and used for genetic engineering to transfer the genes, to insert the target delivery of the genes. And then there are several coatings are being tested so that the germination percentage can increase, the early attack of pathogens on the seedlings can be avoided. And then various manipulation related to soil microbiome to stimulate the microbes for the more nutrient mobilization or more polysaccharide secretion in the soil, so that moisture can be retained more or nutrient can be mobilized efficiently. And then soil conditioning, whether it is for addressing the pH issue of the soil, or better nutrient uptake or avoid the nutrient competitiveness in the rhizosphere zone. And certainly the nanofertilizers which can be given through the soil or through the foliar application, there are like different designs. So nanotechnology is all around the plant. Even for the post harvesting also, nanotechnology is being used to increase the shelf life and texture of the food products, and even the processed fruits and food products we harvest from the crop. So there must be like a lot of question and concern from all of you, that what are those applications, and can we get the details. So for that I'm sharing, like, because of the limitation of the time, I'm sharing the screenshot of couple of important research articles which published like in Nature Nanotechnology or in Journal of Agriculture and Food Chemistry. Also various articles in FAI journal as well, are coming. And also some of this research from our lab is featured in Forbes as well, that how nanotechnology is helping from cancer to crops, and how the engineering at small scale we can help to address the big problems the world is facing. and how these physicochemical properties at nanoscale can solve these problems. So friends, when we talk about nanomaterials, particularly for nanofertilizers, the question comes about the delivery, that how we will give them. Should we give them as a conventional method, or the new methods, how the uptake will be, how it will be different if we change the application method. So we have tested nanomaterials applications through various methods, including like soil application, including drop cast, and then the foliar spray, the aerosol spray. And we have quantified where that how much of the material we are applying, where this material are going, how much is losses to the environment, what is the number concentration of the particles, what is the quantity going in. For example, in case of nitrogen measurement, we can get it through the TKN and total gel nitrogen or CHNS analyzer. But for the other elements, we use the precise, highly sensitive techniques like inductive coupled plasma mass spectroscopy for quantitative uptake. Whereas when we talk about nano, one more important thing comes, that how many number of particles you basically given to the plants. Currently, we are considering the doses in terms of like how, in terms of mass concentration, like how many kilograms we apply to the field. Uh, Whereas when we talk about nano, it is also important that how many number of particles it have went through, because whenever we talk about nano, we also talk about surface area to volume size ratio. So that is very important, so that we measure using the scanning mobility particle sizer, which is an instrument which can give the real time particle size as well as the number concentration of the materials. When we applied different type of nanomaterials to plants through foliar application, through drop cast on the leaves, and the soil applications, what we have found that when we apply through the soil, it is better than the conventional, but it is not that great that we would like to achieve. But when we apply through the controlled droplet size through the aerosol spray application on the leaves, it can really plant can take the nutrient efficiently, and we can achieve the target delivery. And once it is delivered, we can achieve the other factors, like for example keeping the nutrient in plant available form, or having their controlled release inside the plant cell. And then by that way we can reduce the mass volume requirement of the fertilizer that we are giving to the plants, because it not only correct the immediate requirement, immediate nutrient stage, but it also provide the sustained release, so that it also address the sustained nutrient provide the to the plants to improve the agricultural productivity and achieve the sustainability. uh, so once we deliver this, so now you might have questioned that why it is not taking up through the soil, what is the problem there. So we have done some fundamental studies on that, and other colleagues as well. So I would like to mention like couple of results here, that as you can see that and the bottom, that one is DI water, that is deionized water, and another is soil solution. So we took the soil and we put the particle in, and another type is DI water, where we disperse our material in the water only. And what you see that as soon as we put in the soil particles, these particles get aggregated, and once these particles get aggregated, they have to get uptake in the routine manner, because they got agglomerated. And what are the factors responsible? The factors, because even if we talk about India, we have so many agroclimatic zones, we have various type of soils, because we are having very different agroclimatic zone, very different soils, from uh, sand dunes of Rajasthan to Eastern Ghat and Western Ghat, and the Gangetic Plains. So we have like a lot of different kind of soil which contains different type of ions, monovalent and divalent ions. Our soil has different carbon to oxygen ratios, and these ions and carbon and oxygen ratio, it basically affect the surface property of the material that we are applying to the soil, and which affect the zeta potential, and that affects the aggregation and agglomeration of these particles, that affect their attachment efficiency, and ultimately the uptake of these particles. And this not only apply to nano, but it also apply to other things which we are going through the simple fertigation methods, using the water soluble fertilizer and so on. So by controlling these parameters, we can increase the use efficiency of other nutrients which we are conventionally applying right now as well. In our laboratory, we are having capability to synthesize nanomaterials of different shape, different size, different porosity, different surface properties through various controlling various physicochemical parameters, whether it is collisional growth, condensational growth, or nucleation of these particles. So depends on type of the application which we are looking for. We can design these nanomaterials of different shape and size, and by controlling them. What all the images that you are seeing on the bottom is the transmission electron microscope images, which we really cannot see through our eyes, but we can see under the electron microscope. We can manipulate them at the nanoscale materials. Once we develop these nanomaterials, we test them in the controlled engineered environment, in greenhouses, in the hydroponic environments, in plant growth chambers, and then we test in the real farm field of our research station. And once we confirm the efficacy, the safety, toxicity, and other things, then we reach out to our channel partners, whether it is our research partners, maybe like ICR institutes, state agricultural university, and so on. Particularly if we talk about this nano urea, and when we compare this to the conventional urea, the nano urea, the particle size ranges from 20 to 50 nanometer, the physical size, and if we compare to the conventional urea, the size ranges from 1 to 3 millimeter. On an average, it's about 2.3, 2.4 millimeter in range. When we see this, the reduction in the size from millimeter to nanometer, it drastically increased the surface area to volume size ratio. And when the size is at nanoscale, it basically shows the quantum impacts, quantum effects, and quantum properties make the surface available to interact with biological materials present in the plant cell, so that it can have the better impact and better response from the plants, not only as the nutrients but also on stimulatory impacts. It has better uptake efficiency compared to conventional urea. It has better physicochemical properties. And then when we apply these nano urea nanoscale particles, this is applicable to all kind of nanomaterials we apply to the plants. Then the all three concentrations are important: the number concentration, mass concentration, surface area concentrations. If we apply the nano, for example, nanomaterials in the same quantity what we are applying to the conventional application, it is not good for the plant. I mean, at certain extent it is good, but the large thing is not good, because there is an impact of the quantum impact and the surface area, which is very high when we compare to the conventional. It has slow release and controlled release kinetics inside the plant cell, and it provides better bio interactions. If we see that how the nano urea look like, when we see these are the transmission electron microscope image. On the one side you see that some black spots, black dots you see all around the image. These are the particles of nano urea when we see under the electron microscope. On the other side you see some graphs. These are basically hydrodynamic size. Hydrodynamic size is different than physical size. Hydrodynamic size, we measure that when these particles are dispersed in the water or dispersed in the solvent and then spray on the crop, then what is their hydrodynamic size, and like that. And then similarly the zeta potential is basically provide the surface charge. What is the charge of these particles? Like, for example, if I give you an example, that if we dissolve the urea in water and take the surface zeta potential, which comes close to zero, maybe plus minus 5 or 2 to 3 millivolt. But in case of nano urea, you see that on an average the zeta potential is higher than 30 millivolts. So when we apply these particles, it get efficiently absorbed. In the next slide I will show that. We test these nanomaterials as per the national and international guidelines, or law of the land guidelines. These guidelines, particularly in India, is given to evaluate any kind of nanomaterials evaluate by the Department of Biotechnology based guideline, which is like a guideline for evaluation of nano based agri inputs and food products. And this guideline is vastly adopting the OECD methods to test the nanomaterials safety, efficacy, toxicity, and human safety, etc. So we have tested these all the products as per these guidelines, which we are planning to put in India for farmers use. And we found that the nano urea is biologically safe and at the recommended doses, and it is safe for flora and fauna which is in and around the farm field. Once the safety toxicity is in place, we have tested nano urea across the country in all the agroclimatic zone in all the states of India, and we have tested it on over 90 crops. We tested on farmers field, we tested at ICR institutes, state agricultural universities, Karshi Vigyan Kendras, and importantly at the farmers field, we have tested on more than 11,000 farmers field during our trial time in 2000, from 2019 onwards. And what we have found that on an average it increases the yield by 8%, and we have went through the reduction in the conventional urea from 25% to 50%. In some crops it's 33%. In most of the crops it's up to 50%. When we reduce the conventional urea and apply the 2 spray of nano urea, it enhances the yield by 8%. And interestingly, we have found at some places that when farmers applied this nano urea, we have taken the samples and tested for its nutritional quality and residue accumulation. We have found that it basically enhances the nutritional quality in terms of, like, particularly if I talk about like wheat, there is a term called grain protein content, or GPC, for the export type of grain or nutritional quality of grain. So it enhances the GPC, the grain protein contents. So now the question comes that when we apply this foliar application of these nanoparticles of nano urea, how it is being uptaken and metabolized. So if we, on one side you see an image of the plant leaves, and on the plant leaves, the leaves you are seeing is the tea plant leaves. So when we apply these nanoparticles on the plant leaves have very small pores, which we call it like stomata, or even non-stomatal pores are also present in terms of like hydrothorns and so on. And on one side you see then electron microscope image again of nano urea. When we apply these particles, you see one side the particle sizes ranges from 20 to 50 nanometer. Another side on the plant leaf we are having a small pores ranges from like from 50 microns to few hundred microns. And when we apply these particles through foliar spray, these particles can taken up by the plants very efficiently, because in one of the previous slide I mentioned that there is a zeta potential, the positive zeta potential of these particles. And when we apply these positively surfaced particles, this leaf stomata is having the negatively charged molecules on their surface. So they are basically our leaf surface or any biological surface is more or less negatively charged. Like our even human surface is also negatively charged. So when they apply on the plant leaves, these stomatal, through the stomatal pathways or through the direct pathways, it get efficiently uptake. Once it is absorbed, it basically release the nitrogen in plant available form, which get assimilated in the amino acid pathways and through the various enzyme activities, whether it is vacuole pH or the various enzymes present in the vacuole like glycosidase, glycoside hydrolase, or the urease enzymes which present in the active plant parts in the apical meristems, whether it is like shoot apical meristems or leaf apical meristems, and then it stimulates the plant cells to divide and provide the enough nutrients. This nano urea is approved by the government of India and included in the fertilizer control order in early 2021. and IFCO launched this product after due diligence with the ICR institutes, state agricultural universities, and test as per the DBT guidelines for nanomaterials. It has economical advantage as nano urea is economically cheaper than conventional urea. Yeah, it is cost to farmers I think about 240 rupees, and the conventional urea to farmers it is cost around 260 or 265 rupees after this huge subsidy. And we all are aware that there is a huge peak and jump in the price of the urea across the globe because of the gases price are going up. uh, Further, IFCO is open to collaborate. Many of the participants here in today's program is if anyone would like to collaborate to participate, IFCO is very open to collaborate as it is an farmers organization. We have collaborated with major institutes of India, like we have partnered with ICR for the research and development and testing and trial, and similarly with IIT Delhi for various research inputs. And then IFCO is also like giving license, technology license to other PSUs, particularly here for NFL and RCF, so that the nutrient availability is more. It's not more about profit making or not about the having the monopoly, but IFCO is because it's a cooperative organization having the cooperative in nature. Our like management has decided to share the best technology, best products with the farmers. So that's why we are also sharing at the just nominal cost of 100 rupees with NFL and RCF, so that farmers can get advanced product at the cheaper cost, and country can save the money which is flowing out for purchasing the fertilizers at the high prices. Since this product is quite new, so many farmers, scientists, other stakeholders, regulators have a lot of questions and concerns that how it was developed, what it is, how it is working, where to get it, what are the resources, any publications, citations, etc. So IFCO has developed a dedicated website, www.nanourea.in. I would request participants to, if you find time, please do visit this website to get more information, because there is a time limitation in this presentation. So that's why like I'm not able to share all the information. So, but you can get the detailed information here, and you can drop us an email. Would be happy to address any further query, or would like to collaborate to get it more. In terms of summary, nano urea is developed for sustainable and precision agriculture, where we can give the target delivery, achieve the controlled release inside the plant in the plant available form, reducing the mass requirement of conventional chemical fertilizer, and improving the farmers' productivity and agriculture sustainability, while addressing the challenges of the greenhouse gas emissions or eutrophications by the leaching or runoff or volatilization of conventional chemical fertilizers, to complement the vision of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which India has a signatory part of that. With that, I would like to thank our team members, all who are putting day and night to produce. And IFCO has, as you may aware, that IFCO has put for its first manufacturing plant in Kalol, Gandhinagar, Gujarat, to manufacture, and we already produced more than 2 crore bottles in just a few months from now. We have produced and sent to the market to get the response, and this is the first season is getting over, and we are getting very encouraging response from farmers and acceptability from farmers across India. We are also getting inquired from other countries, both developed and developing countries, to have these plants or technology transfer. So with in that, FAI will play the very important role as well. So I'm thankful to all of you, and thank you for giving me an opportunity. Would be happy to take your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you. Very nice presentation. And I think yeah, participants, you have all enjoyed because of this nice presentation. Also, the subject is also very new. You know, nano urea, first of its kind, not only in the country, in the world also. So how what is nanoparticles, how it works, why its efficiency, in fact, nitrogen, why it increases the nitrogen efficiency, what is the increase in yield. So everything has been covered. And that's why other foreign countries, so far as you know, they have also collaborated with this IPCO for this nano area. As far as Sri Lanka and other countries also, right?
Yes, sir.
In your country.
Yes, sir. India exported to Sri Lanka as well.
Lifted the
Right.
yeah.
Right. So very good. Keep it up, doctor. And my request to the my participants, please, because new subject. So, in fact, you must. And as that was in fact open invitation from IPO. If any of your organization want to partner with IPCO for nano area, you are most welcome. You can just give a mail to Dr. Ramesh Raliya ji, and they will be happy to partner or share with you. Right? Okay.
Yes.
So please feel free to ask questions. Please.
So first of all, thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I have two questions, sir. As a field personnel, sir, that which one is better for sir, the foliar application or drip irrigation? That is one question. And second one is, sir, that farmer बहुत सारे पूछते सर हमें that can you use nano urea with other pesticide also?
The foliar application is the best option because, as I mentioned in one of the slides, that when we apply through the soil, we don't achieve that much of use efficiency. So with the current product, of course, nano urea is best when it is applied through the foliar application. Your
Sir,
second.
also, I want to add something, sir. That we got some results that I'm from Speak, sir, but we get generally feedback from farmers. That so many farmers told that we get better result in foliage or through retailers also. In drip irrigation, the efficiency is very much less than the foliar application. That's the feedback or response we get from the farmers.
Yeah, I mean, like, see, when the farmers, because I'm also farmer's son, so farmers are also doing like lot of experiments, like because of their own interest or because of their own easiness. As you mentioned, many farmers are testing also through the drip irrigation, giving with other fertilizers or other inputs. Like I would like to give you an example that in Haryana district Rewari, where the so many farmers, when we are doing the trial, they took the bottles and they mixed with some biostimulants, particularly like one of our product, another product called Sagarika. They mixed with that and spray on the crop, and they found very good response of that. Some farmers sprayed with some NPK consortia biofertilizers. They put in the soil, and then they given the second spray of nano urea, and they don't give any kind of conventional urea. So farmers are getting the response, but from the scientific perspective, if you ask me, I would say that when we apply through the soil application, the efficiency is less than what we are applying through foliar. So I recommend to apply through the foliar application, because aim of designing or developing this product is to minimizing the losses of nutrient and feeding to the plant only, not to the soil and environment at this point. So from that perspective, it is better to apply through the foliar application. Another question was related to the compatibility with other agrochemicals. This nano urea is pretty much compatible with other agrochemicals. You can mix and spray. The only request that before spraying or before mixing, it is better to do a simple jar test. Jar test is simply mixing two chemicals or three chemicals, whatever of intended chemical, at the recommended doses, and keep it in a simple glass or bottle for 5-10 minutes and see if there is any precipitation or settle down. So that's a simple jar test. Anyone can do that when farmers are adequately like experienced for that. So if the jar test is passed, you can simply do that. We have tested this with so many chemicals. We have screened about 42 agrochemicals popularly used, most used in the farmers in India, and we found the compatibility with most of them.
Sir, any specific chemicals or substance, sir, which this nano urea should not be used, or it is okay? Is it okay with all the pesticides or all the chemicals?
So
Or any specific chemicals with which is not be used, sir?
So any chemicals having high sodium or calcium or magnesium ions should not be mixed with, because when they are high concentration of monovalent and divalent ion, if you remember one of the slide I mentioned that when the ion concentrations are high, then it basically induces the agglomeration of particles and change the zeta potential or carbon to oxygen ratio on the surface of particles. So and which affects the zeta potential and efficiency. So any agrochemicals having high sodium, magnesium, calcium or divalent ions should not be like mixed with. That's like my recommendation. We are working more on this because like this is just first year of introduction of this product in the field, so we are getting a lot of response from field. So we are also like getting the feedback, and based on that we are tuning that how we can make this product even compatible with high calcium, high magnesium, and high monovalent and divalent ions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. This is R.K. Satpathy from PPL.
Yes, sir. Hello, sir.
Congratulations to the entire team for bringing such a marvelous product, which may be a game changer in the future. But a simple question, sir, for a farmer's perspective view, whether this will be cheaper in comparison to the earlier conventional urea, or it is economically equal, or it will be little price higher than the conventional urea.
Sir, thank you for your question. Like from the science perspective, I would like to give you answer from the two perspective. One is from the science perspective, that uh, industry and the country as a whole, we all are facing the challenges of the nutrient runoff and nutrient losses to the environment and environmental degradation and the environmental prices going up. Like if we talk about India, we are having a huge subsidy on urea. We all know the without subsidy price of the urea, right? It's like about 800 to 1400 rupees subsidy government is giving. So that's why like farmers are getting conventional urea as 260 rupees, but still the nano urea is 10% cheaper from that perspective. Now let's include the other cost, like for example labor cost for the application. In case of nano urea, you require the sprayer, you need to do the spray, whereas in conventional you do the broadcasting. At this point there might be a little bit cost of the spray is maybe higher, or maybe relatively higher, because there are a lot of drone sprayer and other things. The cost may be a little bit higher of the sprayer compared to the broadcast for the labor cost part. But overall if we see, the benefit of the nano urea is higher in terms of production, that it increases the crop productivity by 8%. And when we have tested this product at ICR research institutes on about 43 crops with ICR institutes, and on 94 crops with KVK and on farmers field, we have we received a calculation from several SAUs and ICR institutes that it increased the BC ratio when we compare to the conventional urea, even with subsidized urea. And when they include non-subsidized urea, the difference is very high. And
Thank you.
like as an industry, as a policymakers, as a researcher, we should consider the price. Like it's my personal opinion again, we should consider the price which is non-subsidized urea, because we have to compete the globally as an industry, or as a researcher we have to provide solutions to the world.
Thank you.